Day 271, on how to use books. Books are like lobster shells. We surround ourselves with M, then we grow out of M and leave M behind, as evidence of our earlier stages of development. When you're new to the world of personal development, you read whatever you can grab your hands on. Every single classic, every book recommended to you by somebody you respect, every new best-selling release. At first, it's a fine strategy. You get to expose yourself to different authors, learn the fundamentals, and look at personal development from different perspectives. However, as time passes, you should leave some books behind and progress to more specific advice. For example, I used to read one general self-help book after another. Soon I found them all similar to each other. Each new title added little to my knowledge. I outgrew those books, and needed to find a new teacher. I transitioned to reading books about a more specific topic than general personal development, how to change myself to become a successful entrepreneur, and how to actually start and run a profitable company, how to improve my communication skills, how to eat healthily, or how to develop focus. Then I started reading more biographies and autobiographies, where the lessons usually aren't as clearly laid out as in a regular how-to book, but which are unique and more insightful, related to a specific problem the person portrayed in the biography had dealt with. Recently I started expanding my horizons and seeking out books about specific problems I struggle with, for example, how to develop a better life philosophy, and reading books from other domains, so I could draw parallels from them and apply their principles to my own life. Think of different categories of books as your development stages. When a given type of a book no longer serves you, find a new teacher. Day 272, on extinguishing bad habits. You can never truly extinguish bad habits. Rather, to change a habit, you must keep the old cue, and deliver the old reward, but insert a new routine. That's the rule. If you use the same cue, and provide the same reward, you can shift the routine and change the habit. Almost any behavior can be transformed if the cue and reward stay the same. Some time ago we talked about the habit loop, a cue, a signal to perform a habit, a routine, action, and a reward for engaging in the habit. This loop, when repeated over and over again, creates an automatic behavior. You can use this loop to create new habits, but you can also use it to replace bad habits with more empowering routines. For example, instead of always eating a chocolate bar during a lunch break, eat a banana. Your cue is a lunch break and your reward is eating something sweet. Two parts of the habit loop remain the same, but are now satisfied by a healthier alternative. Instead of always dealing with a stressful situation by emotional eating, head out for a quick run. Your cue is feeling stressed, and as a reward you get to reduce or eliminate the anxiety. Running can become an alternative, healthy way of satisfying your need for self-comfort. If you have any bad habits you want to get rid of, think about how to keep your cue and reward the same while replacing the negative routine with something empowering. You'll reduce the risk of reverting to the old habit because it will only be the action in itself that changes, not your cue or the reward. Day 273, on reprogramming your brain. Given our human impulse to pick up the habits and energy of others, you can use that knowledge to literally program your brain the way you want. Simply find the people who most represent what you would like to become and spend as much time with them as you can without trespassing, kidnapping, or stalking. Their good habits and good energy will rub off on you. Research shows that resisting peer pressure causes emotional discomfort. Consequently, humans have a tendency to want to fit in, even when it means not thinking for themselves or doing things they would otherwise never do. While it's not a positive phenomenon among college kids who all want to emulate the popular guy or gal who's into partying hard, it can be a beneficial tool for an adult who consciously chooses the group whose features he or she would like to acquire. If there's any shortcut to building self-discipline, it's this: find a group of people who possess discipline and let the power of peer pressure change you. For example, if you want to build self-discipline to exercise regularly, join a fitness group or hang out in the park with ripped guys who are into calisthenics. If you want to become super productive and have enough self-discipline to wake up every single day at 5 in the morning to work on your startup, join a local networking group of entrepreneurs or work in a co-working space. If you want to stop spending so much money on unnecessary things, join a forum about frugality or follow bloggers in the personal finance niche. Look at it from other perspective, too. If the groups you currently belong to don't exhibit the traits you'd like to acquire, or worse, exhibit the complete opposite of those traits, ask yourself whether you want to continue to let them influence your life. Week 40. Day 274, on constant movement. Well, I always know what I want. And when you know what you want, you go toward it. Sometimes you go very fast, and sometimes only an inch a year. Perhaps you feel happier when you go fast. I don't know. I've forgotten the difference long ago, because it really doesn't matter, so long as you move. Constant movement is the key to a successful life because humans are programmed to always be on the mission to improve their lives. The journey in itself can give life meaning, and obsessing about not being able to shorten it can only bring unnecessary frustration. In addition to that, certain goals require years, or sometimes even decades, to achieve, and there's little, if anything, you can do to turn them into reality sooner. Complaining only breeds negativity, which does nothing to help you attain your goals. You might think that it doesn't make sense to work on a goal if your progress is slow and you consequently feel tempted to give up. But what's the alternative? If you give up, you're guaranteed to not meet your objectives. What sense does it make to give up, frustrated by the slow progress, and then resort to wishing you could somehow magically turn your dream into reality? Day 275, on staying a champion. You will never be entirely comfortable. This is the truth behind the champion, he is always fighting something. To do otherwise is to settle. I'm sorry to break it to you, but if you expect that one day all discomfort will be gone from your life and you'll be able to enjoy the fruits of your hard labor for the rest of your days, you're wrong. If you not only want to become a champion, but also stay a champion, by definition you'll always need to fight something, fight to reach a new goal, overcome hardships, expand your comfort zone, and continue improving yourself little by little. For example, at the time I'm writing this, it's been 2 years since I started rock climbing. I used to be terrified of heights and taking falls. While my fear of heights and taking falls has greatly diminished, I'm still not free, and will never be free, from fear and discomfort when I'm climbing. If you want to improve your climbing, you need to climb harder and harder routes. They will still make you uncomfortable and scared. Even the best rock climbers in the world still feel fear and experience discomfort, just like skydivers, public speakers, successful businesspeople, athletes, and any other top performers. If you'd like to stay a champion, accept the fact that discomfort is here to stay. Embrace it as a teacher that will strengthen you and help you achieve ever greater feats, not as an annoying part of the process that you'd like to put behind as quickly as possible. Day 276, on the price of personal growth. Personal growth has its price, and she was paying it without complaint. As we've discussed it in yesterday's entry, staying a champion means that you'll always need to put yourself in new, uncomfortable situations. It's the price you have to pay for excellence. Personal growth in general has its price, too. From my personal experience, here are several things you should expect on your journey toward improving your life. 1. People being confused about your actions. Unless you're surrounding yourself solely with top performers, your immediate social circle will probably be puzzled why you're subjecting yourself to discomfort, prioritizing work over enjoying yourself, or rejecting pleasures today for the sake of tomorrow. The sooner you learn to ignore those voices, the better off you'll be. 2. Outgrowing certain people in your life. It's painful, but you'll probably outgrow some friends or loved ones. You'll find it harder to connect with them and they'll find it harder to connect with you. This doesn't necessarily have to happen in every situation and with everyone, but prepare yourself for the reality that some of your relationships will probably weaken or stop being as fulfilling as they used to be. 3. An incessant desire to improve everything. Once you start making positive changes in your life and experience in your own skin how powerful new habits and attitudes can be, you'll feel the desire to improve everything. This can be a source of frustration when you realize that certain people don't want to change or that certain social mores actually value mediocrity over excellence. 4. Self-guilt that you have it better than other people. As strange as it sounds, if you successfully introduce some important changes in your life, develop a healthy physique, form positive nutritional habits, set aside some savings and find meaningful work you enjoy or at least one that satisfies you financially, you might start feeling guilty that others have it worse. Considering that most people are either obese, unhealthy, broke, or unhappy at work, chances are that you will indeed live a better life than they are living. However, in the end you gain the right to enjoy the life you have now through your own efforts. Don't feel guilty because you made better choices. Other people could have done the same. 5. A difficulty to enjoy what you have. The more you achieve in your life, the more you'll want to achieve. When you notice that something is lacking in your life, you'll want to change it. This carries the risk that you'll never be able to enjoy what you have or unrealistically expect that everything and everyone needs to be perfect. Sooner or later, ideally sooner, you'll need to learn how to be grateful for what you have and be content with it. Day 277, on making things convenient. Nutritionally speaking, frozen veggies are similar to, and sometimes better than, fresh ones. This makes sense, considering that these veggies are usually flash frozen, which suspends/pauses their aging and nutrient losses immediately after being harvested. Frozen veggies are often picked in the peak of their season, too. Here's the ultimate hack when it comes to eating more vegetables: eat ones that have been frozen. At least 50 to 60% of vegetables I eat have been frozen, the rest are canned and fresh. Research shows that nutrition-wise, frozen vegetables aren't worse, and might be even better, than fresh vegetables. One of the biggest issues when it comes to improving your eating habits is a lack of time or being too lazy to prepare fresh vegetables. You can get rid of this excuse by buying a frozen vegetable mix. Steam it, sprinkle it with some good herbs and spices, and voila! You're getting your veggies for the day with no need to go through the entire ordeal of peeling, washing, and cooking fresh vegetables, for which you might not have enough willpower. Please note that this entry isn't merely about frozen vegetables, it's about making sure that your new positive habits are as convenient to stick to as possible. The more convenient you make it to stick to a healthy diet, the more likely you'll be to stick to it. Even if one day scientists discover that frozen or canned vegetables aren't as healthy as the fresh ones, it's still better to eat them than not eat vegetables at all because it's too inconvenient for you to eat them fresh. The same applies to other goals. Yes, it would be ideal if you found a fun outdoor activity, but if you really can't afford to do so, buying some basic equipment and exercising at home, to make it more convenient, is still better than not exercising at all. When you're choosing between failing to stick to a positive habit because it's inconvenient or making it more convenient but perhaps a little bit less effective, choose the latter. Day 278, on the rent axiom. The rent axiom says that success is never owned. Success is only rented and the rent is due every day. The rent axiom is a powerful way to look at success. Instead of thinking of success as something that is given to you, thus risking that you'll take it for granted and become complacent, you assume that you only rent it, and to keep it in your life, you need to pay the rent each and every day. Another consequence of adopting this perspective is that you'll stop looking for shortcuts or temporary solutions. The rent is due every day, so it's not like you can take one magic pill and forever solve all of your problems. It's an empowering outlook on life that will help you not only reach success, but also, which is even more important, to maintain it. Thousands of people all over the world have successfully lost weight, started exercising more, built successful businesses, improved their relationships, learned new skills, wrote books, and achieved other goals. However, thousands of them also lost their success when they assumed it was there forever. Spouses stopped putting in the effort. Businessmen let their competition crush them. Dieters reverted to their old habits and regained weight. If you don't want this to happen to you, remember to pay your rent every day and always make sure that your current actions confirm that you deserve the success you've achieved. Day 279, on learning with age. It's very simple. As you grow, you learn more. If you stayed at 22, you'd always be as ignorant as you were at 22. Aging is not just decay, you know. It's growth. It's more than the negative that you're going to die, it's also the positive that you understand you're going to die, and that you live a better life because of it. As time passes, one might feel tempted to believe that their best years are behind them. Now decay commences, and things can only get worse. How about looking at it from a different point of view and embracing aging as the learning process? I like to say that if in 5 years I'm the same person that I am today, then I'll have failed. Ideally, in 5 years I should feel slightly uncomfortable about the type of a person I was in the past. Aging is not merely about your body's cells dividing and multiplying, it's also about your knowledge, which, if you make an effort to do so, constantly expands, gives you new perspectives and helps you live an ever better life. You can look at aging in both ways, a process of deterioration or a process of improvement. Which attitude will bring more happiness and success in your life? Day 280, on seeing your troubles from the proper perspective. I try to see my troubles in their proper perspective. I say to myself, 2 months from now I shall not be worrying about this bad break, so why worry about it now? Why not assume now the same attitude that I will have 2 months from now? At the moment I'm writing this, I'm questioning my ability to persevere for another 2 weeks before I finish this book. I've been working on it for a long time, and it's been my most difficult project so far. The thought that helps me see my current troubles from the proper perspective is imagining myself 2 months from now, when the work is already done and the book is published. In the grand scheme of things, what does 2 additional weeks of work mean? I'm almost done, so now I only need to push myself for a little while longer and the situation will resolve itself. In the past, a friend helped me handle my financial troubles in a similar way. I was worried about the money I owed to the bank, but in the grand scheme of things it mattered little. My friend made me aware that my new business had been making money, it was quickly growing, and it would only be a matter of several months and I'd be debt-free. If you're currently struggling or worrying about something, try to look at your troubles from the perspective of you in the future. If your situation will end in several days or weeks, then is it really such a big problem? Even if it's going to take at least several months, it's still a temporary condition and worrying about it excessively is counterproductive. Week 41. Day 281, on the hardships writing your life story. You can recall everything you have worked hard and patiently for in your life, but how many things that you have attained with little or no effort can you remember? When you're struggling with your goal and feel tempted to give up, remind yourself that ultimately, it's the hardships that write your life story and make it so exciting and memorable. As Thomas Sterner points out, we don't remember things that we achieved easily, and often, they don't even make us particularly happy or we don't consider them significant. Working hard and patiently to achieve an important but difficult goal isn't just an unpleasant thing that you need to do to get to your destination, it's life itself, a state a human being needs to feel fulfilled and inspired. A life without challenges is neither happy nor does it lead to you realizing your full potential. See your current hardships for what they are, a powerful opportunity to embrace your human nature, grow as a person, and an awesome inspirational story you'll be able to share with others in the future. Day 282, on analysis paralysis. The 10,000 questions are one question. If you cut through the one question, then the 10,000 questions disappear. Analysis paralysis happens when you overthink a situation to such an extent that you never take a decision. For example, a person who wishes to lose weight will never commence a diet because they'll forever keep searching for the right diet or the ultimate answer to the question of which foods are healthy and which are not. Hint, even scientists don't know the correct answer. As a result, weeks and months pass by, and all you have is more and more unresolved questions and zero real-world results. While it often pays to think deeply about your goal and how you want to approach it, if you have a tendency to overanalyze and overcomplicate things, give yourself just one day to figure out the answer to one key question, and instead of aiming for the perfect answer, aim for an answer that's good enough. For example, if you want to start a diet and are unsure which one to follow, research the most common and most successful diets. Limit your choices to the few best options and then choose the one that feels like the best fit. Don't worry about getting it perfect. In the state of analysis paralysis you won't get any results, so even mediocre results are still an improvement. Think of it as driving a car in foggy weather. Even though you can't see everything around you, you can still drive. It's the same with goals. Even with limited knowledge, you can still work on your objectives. Day 283, on being hungry. Stay hungry. Be hungry for success, hungry to make your mark, hungry to be seen and to be heard and to have an effect. And as you move up and become successful, make sure also to be hungry for helping others. Don't rest on your laurels. One of the biggest dangers of success is that when people achieve it, they frequently lose the hunger that has led them to demonstrate the incredible amounts of willpower and determination it took to make their dreams come true. As a result, they run a huge risk of losing the success they've worked so hard to achieve. If you don't want to be like those people, once you're done celebrating your success, find another source of hunger that will make you pursue new challenges and continue to grow. Set bigger goals, or find a deeper meaning behind your actions. Discover a new itch to scratch, to keep yourself always learning more. Note that always searching for a new source of hunger doesn't mean that you can't ever be content with what you have. It's not about constantly chasing the carrot, dissatisfied with what you have. It's about making your life ever so much larger, while being appreciative and protective of what you have. For example, I'm extremely grateful for my successes in the self-publishing world, and for people like you reading my books, and precisely because of that, I still push myself. I know that it's only through constant effort and through producing new works that I can reach even more people and achieve new goals. Writing new books protects my success and lets me grow as a writer, constantly taking things to the next level. Should my hunger for writing disappear one day, I'll find a new reason to be hungry in a different area. Don't let comfort persuade you that challenges aren't important in life. When there's nothing difficult that you're striving to achieve, you will eventually lose your hard-earned achievements, habits, and traits, and along with it, the comfort that you're now enjoying. Day 284, on habits as handcuffs. Don't let your habits become handcuffs. Few, if any, self-help authors would challenge the opinion that habits are of key importance to a person wishing to improve their life. Most would agree that good habits unlock success, while negative habits are destroying you. Yet, sometimes even positive habits can act like handcuffs that limit your life and choices to a pre-selected set of routines that you've decided are most optimal for you. Is waking up early generally a positive habit? It is. It can become like handcuffs, though, if you assume that now you need to wake up early every single day, even if there's a special occasion to celebrate the evening before, such as your spouse's birthday. Is eating healthy a positive habit? Of course it is. However, it can act as shackles if you never let yourself lower your guard for a while and enjoy, preferably in great company, whatever food strikes your fancy. Is being highly productive and always working on something new a good habit to have? It is, but if you never relax or get a little lazy, you'll miss out on some valuable experiences in life and eventually burn out. Whenever forming new habits, establish rules as to when you'll allow yourself to temporarily forego them. Self-discipline and positive habits are important, but life isn't about living like a robot that always follows the same routines, no matter what. Day 285, on small efforts at self-control. Committing to any small, consistent act of self-control, improving your posture, squeezing a hand grip every day to exhaustion, cutting back on sweets, and keeping track of your spending, can increase overall willpower. Don't discount the power of small efforts. They count, too. Little challenges that you can do throughout the day, with a small time investment, can help you improve your overall self-discipline. In fact, some of those small things, such as reminding yourself to have a good posture or avoid cursing, when done repeatedly, can deliver immense personal changes because they force you to be more mindful of your everyday actions. By pausing yourself intermittently throughout the day to control your small behaviors, you develop more mindfulness, and consequently, more self-control. Here are some little exercises you can consider adding to your everyday routine to improve your self-discipline. Even when you're strapped for time, keep your back straight when working. Every hour, stand up and do 5 bodyweight squats, pause for 5 seconds before you start cursing, keep a notebook with you and, each day, write down 3 new ideas to improve yourself. Every day put $1 into a savings jar. If you don't have money to spare, this means resisting a temptation to buy something you consume daily, like coffee or a bagel. Day 286, on avoiding problems. Avoid what causes the opposite of what you want to achieve. If you want to be safe, it's best not to attend dangerous venues. For example, one of the most common places where bad things happen are nightclubs and their immediate vicinity. If you don't go to nightclubs, your risk of getting into a brawl or being attacked by a drunk person is greatly decreased. It's the same with self-control. Instead of exerting self-discipline, it's better to avoid problems that can cause the opposite of what you want to achieve. If you want to be a frugal person, don't go to shopping centers if you don't have to, and don't hang out with people who love shopping. If you want to become more productive, sell your TV set, video console, and any other thing a lazy person considers a must-have. If you want to stop drinking alcohol, stop going to parties where alcohol is the primary source of entertainment, and don't spend time with people who live for the weekends. Think about your goal, figure out what its opposite is, and then ask yourself which actions, people, and places can lead you to that opposite result and avoid them. Day 287, on reducing procrastination that comes from overwhelm. The bigger and more overwhelming the project seems to you, the greater your tendency to procrastinate. A common reason why people procrastinate about something that they consider extremely important to them is exactly that: they consider it so crucial that it overwhelms them and paralyzes their actions. When you think of something as your only big chance in life, you'll understandably try to tread as carefully as possible. This, however, can quickly convert into procrastination when your fear of ruining the opportunity will prevent you from taking action. If you currently find yourself in such a situation, ask yourself, what is the end result of putting off this big, once-in-a-lifetime chance in life? Isn't procrastinating about it going to lead to the exact same thing you're afraid of, losing the opportunity? Whenever setting new resolutions, manage your attitude about them so that you aren't overwhelmed by them. Think of it as having an opportunity to meet a famous person. You can hold them in high regard, but it doesn't mean that you have to act like a crazy fan around them. In fact, that's what will put them off, while a person who treats them as another human being will be a welcome difference. It's the same with your goals. Yes, they might be so important that they will change your life. However, this will only happen if you keep a cool head about them. Otherwise, you can let them overwhelm you to such an extent that you'll altogether fail to act. Week 42. Day 288, on routines and relationships. People are offended when you repeatedly turn down their invitations. But, at that point, I felt that the indispensable relationship I should build in my life was not with a specific person but with an unspecified number of readers. My readers would welcome whatever lifestyle I chose, as long as I made sure that each new work was an improvement over the last. And shouldn't that be my duty, and my top priority, as a novelist? Haruki Murakami's dedication to his readers is impressive, but you might wonder if it means that if you want to achieve your goals by adopting consistent routines, you'll lose friends and live the life of a social recluse. The answer is, partly yes, and partly no. You often can't choose when you're the most effective. For me, it's mornings, between 5 and 9 a.m. This means that each day I need to go to sleep around 9 or 10 p.m. at the latest, in order to have a good night's sleep and ensure maximum productivity the next morning. Obviously, this affects my life. I rarely hang out with my friends in the evening. However, and here's where we get to the core of the issue, sometimes you need to make a choice between a routine and a relationship. A person whose primary role is that of a parent will understandably adapt their routine to that of their child. An entrepreneur will choose to not spend time with some of his or her friends, if that means that his or her business can grow more quickly. A person who wants to banish negative emotions from their life will ensure that their day is constructed in a way that is most conducive to positive feelings. Define your most important priorities and roles in life and adjust your life accordingly. Don't try to please everybody, because it simply can't happen. Day 289, on accounting for taxes. Everything you do has a tax attached to it. For example, the tax on traveling is all the waiting around. Disagreements and occasional frustration are taxes placed on even the happiest of relationships. Theft is a tax on abundance and having things that other people want. Stress and problems are tariffs that come attached to success. Simply pay the taxes in life, and enjoy the fruits of what you get to keep. It's exciting to set new goals and imagine how your life will change when you achieve them. However, people often forget that everything in life has a tax attached to it. When they wake up to the reality that their goals aren't all roses and require some sacrifices on their part or generate problems, their excitement fades away and their odds of success decrease. As Ryan Holiday notes, there are taxes on traveling, relationships, and financial success, but they aren't limited just to those areas. If you want to become healthier, one of the taxes is that you'll have a harder time when you eat in a social setting. If you want to get more fit, you'll most likely have to forego some other activities in order to make time for physical activities. If you want to become a best-selling author or become virtually any kind of an expert, you'll undoubtedly attract critics. Thinking about the dark side before you even start working on your goals doesn't sound like a good way to motivate yourself, but it's necessary to acknowledge it and be prepared for the fact that any change in life, including a positive one, will bring some new problems with it, and it's a price you have to pay to enjoy it. Day 290, on letting go of the old person. You must be willing to let go of the old person in order to become the new person. You must be willing to stop doing certain things in order to start doing the things that are consistent with the new you. People want to get rid of their flaws and improve themselves, but at the same time they aren't willing to let go of their unfavorable behaviors and habits. They're slaves to their weaknesses, often equating them with who they are. An overweight person will never change unless they stop thinking of themselves as an overweight person. If being obese is something that you use as your personal definition and, what's even worse, you feel fine referring to yourself in such a way, how do you expect to become a new person? I was overweight as a teenager and in my early 20s. One day I realized that, in some twisted way, I enjoyed it. Upon discovering this fact and realizing that my future wouldn't be very bright if I were to stay faithful to this definition of myself, I decided to let go of this identity and lose weight. Today, I'm proud to define myself as a slim, fit person. A person who defines themselves as a video gamer and wears it as a badge of honor will be unlikely to adopt new, more productive behaviors until they become willing to let go of their old identity of a gamer. True, there's nothing inherently wrong in being a gamer. However, if it stands in the way of accomplishing your goals, rethink whether it's an identity that serves you or if perhaps it's time to give it up so you can start doing other things that are more consistent with a new you. Who's the old you and who's the new you? How often do you engage in the behaviors of the old you and how often do you manifest the traits of the new you? Shift the balance toward the new you and one by one, eradicate the undesirable old behaviors. Day 291, on the how instead of the outcome. Many people don't understand that how you climb a mountain is more important than reaching the top. The goal of climbing big, dangerous mountains should be to attain some sort of spiritual and personal growth, but this won't happen if you compromise away the entire process. All goals require you to go through a process to attain them. If you compromise away the process by cutting corners, you're missing out on what goal achievement is really about, personal growth, through making the journey. When all is said and done, you aren't going to talk for hours about how you stood on top of the mountain, but about the ordeal you had to go through to reach the top. You won't grow because you got to the peak. It's everything that happens prior to reaching it that results in growth, not the mere act of putting your foot one more step forward and achieving the summit. Whether you take that last step or not, it won't erase all that you've had to go through to get that far. In the quote, Yvon Chouinard refers to the wealthy individuals with no climbing experience and skills, or any desire to develop them, who pay huge sums of money to reach the top of Mount Everest, with the help of the Sherpas who carry the equipment needed to make the ascent as easy as possible. Those rich men and women aren't after the personal growth, they're after the bragging rights of getting to the top of the tallest mountain in the world at all costs. They reach the top, but they deprive themselves of the lessons the difficult process would offer them. When chasing after your goals, don't be like those wannabe climbers. But don't cut corners, compromise your moral principles, cheat, or hurt anyone, just so you can brag that you accomplished your objective. Day 292, on mental resilience. Do not grieve. Anything you lose comes round in another form. The essence of mental resilience is the belief that anything bad that happens to you will ultimately turn out to be good for you. However, I wouldn't go so far as to say, don't grieve after losing a loved one, so please note that today's entry is about being mentally resilient when it comes to less impactful negative events happening in your life. When faced with heartbreaking losses such as a business going bankrupt, a lost job opportunity, a breakup, or even your new diet going south, it's hard to see it as a possible blessing in disguise. After all, you've just lost something, a business, a relationship, a job, or hope for improvement. As an immediate reaction, it might be challenging to not feel bad about the situation. However, once you process that it has happened and accept that, one of the best ways to move on is to remind yourself that what you've just lost will come around again in a different form. Maybe a breakup was necessary so that you can start over again and find a different, better partner. Maybe your business had to go bankrupt so you could free up your resources to focus on a better idea. Your diet went south, and maybe it happened because now you'll discover new nutritional habits that will be easier to maintain than your previous restrictive diet. Each time something bad happens, try to find a lesson in it and the new opportunities it presents. I suggest that you start small, with less significant negative events, as it will take time and experience to learn to handle bigger difficulties with calm and dignity. Day 293, on cutting your losses. Cut your losses short and let your winners run. I once invested several $1,000s in an extensive coaching course. I thought that since I was already an author, it wouldn't be that different to become a coach, too. I spent over a month learning from that course, and ultimately gave up with little to show for it. After a month of studying, I didn't feel I knew that much more about coaching to be able to coach, and it didn't matter, because I knew that I wouldn't do it, anyway. My idea to become a coach was a mistake. I realized that my strengths lie in writing books, and not in giving personalized advice. Continuing my education would have been continuing to invest my time and energy into something that was destined to fail anyway. I cut my losses short and refocused on writing. Due to loss aversion, people have a tendency to avoid losses over acquiring equivalent gains. This means that you'd rather keep investing your time and energy into a failed project than cut it short and redirect your attention to something that can produce better results. It's a dangerous trap for persistent people, because you might spend months, if not years, doing something that will ultimately lead you nowhere. If you're keeping at it only because of what you've already invested, ask yourself if it's the best use of your time. If it isn't, and there are better things you can do, accept the losses as a learning experience and move on. Day 294, on the all-or-nothing mentality. Part of abandoning the all-or-nothing mentality is allowing yourself room for setbacks. We are bound to have lapses on the road to health and wellness, but it is critical that we learn how to handle small failures positively so that we can minimize their long-term destructive effects. One setback is one setback. It is not the end of the world, nor is it the end of your journey toward a better you. People often don't act on their goals because they don't see how they can make it big right away. For them, it's all or nothing. It's either a sexy, firm, and beautiful body or nothing. It's either a glamorous startup, backed by the biggest names from the Silicon Valley, or nothing. It's either being a perfect dancer or not learning how to dance at all. It's easy to see that there's only one outcome of this mentality. You do nothing because no matter what you do, you won't get your perfect results right away. Even if you do start, one setback will discourage you from further efforts. After all, it's all or nothing, and since you just suffered a failure, it's time to give up as you won't be perfect anymore. Avoid developing such a mindset in yourself by acknowledging that everybody has to first be bad at something in order to become good at it. No. World-class performers started out with incredible skills. They all fumbled and failed on their journey toward success. If you don't believe me, read some autobiographies. If you managed to get past the all-or-nothing thinking and started working on your goals, but small slip-ups discourage you from further efforts, tell yourself that you only have to adhere to your resolutions in 90% of your efforts. The remaining 10% is your margin for mistakes. That way, one slip-up won't destroy your entire progress. After all, you've already accounted for it, so it's not ruining your forecast result. Week 43. Day 295, on wandering aimlessly. We are engineered as goal-seeking mechanisms. We are built that way. When we have no personal goal which we are interested in and which means something to us, we are apt to go around in circles, feel lost, and find life itself aimless and purposeless. We are built to conquer environment, solve problems, achieve goals, and we find no real satisfaction or happiness in life without obstacles to conquer and goals to achieve. People who say that life is not worthwhile are really saying that they themselves have no personal goals which are worthwhile. If you've been wandering aimlessly, asking yourself what's the point of life and feeling like you have no purpose, it's possibly because you don't have any important long-term goals to achieve. Whenever I found myself in such a situation, it was always during a transitory period between finishing work on one important goal and looking for a new challenge. When you reach an important long-term goal, by all means celebrate it, but don't give yourself more than a couple of weeks to set a new challenge. Failing to identify a new exciting target and living your life without any big goals eventually leads to depression. I'm talking from my personal experience. If I don't have a guiding star in the form of a significant long-term goal, I lose motivation for everything, including my passions. For this reason, I always have secondary goals. Whenever I accomplish my primary goal and don't immediately come up with a new primary goal, I promote one of the secondary goals to become my new objective. I strongly suggest creating a waiting list of goals to achieve, so that when you find yourself without a goal, you'll be able to quickly refocus on a new challenge. Day 296, on your habitual thoughts. Such as are thy habitual thoughts, such also will be the character of thy mind, for the soul is dyed by the thoughts. The thoughts you entertain most often will have the biggest impact on who you are as a person. If you think about your business every day, you'll define yourself as an entrepreneur. If you have negative thoughts every day, your attitude will be negative. If every day you blame everything and everyone but you for your problems in life, you'll self-identify as a victim. For this reason, it's a good exercise to periodically take stock of your most habitual thoughts and their potential impact on who you are as a person. For example, I recently discovered that I had been engaging in too many negative thoughts. While those negative thoughts usually represent a small percentage of the thoughts I have, lately they had multiplied. Using Marcus Aurelius's words, I don't want to let them dye my soul black, so I've made a decision to focus on cultivating more positive thoughts and weeding out the negative ones. Think of the most common thoughts you've been engaging in recently and ask yourself if they represent the kind of a person you want to be. If not, it's time to exert some self-discipline and regain control of your mind. Day 297, on the best time to work. I do my best thinking at night when everyone else is sleeping. No interruptions. No noise. I like the feeling of being awake when no one else is. The best time to work, and by work, I mean work on your highest priorities, not necessarily your day job, with hours that you can't control, is a highly individual matter, but for most people there are only two choices for maximum productivity: early morning, when people aren't awake yet, or late at night, when everyone is already asleep. The common denominator is the lack of interruptions that can ruin your concentration in a matter of seconds. Early mornings have the advantage of being easier to combine them with a normal everyday schedule. Even if you wake up at 5 in the morning, you can still lead a regular life, go to work or attend other obligations during the day with plenty of energy, spend time with family and friends during the afternoon, and every now and then stay up late and enjoy the evenings. Unlike the way most self-help slogans go, staying up late doesn't mean that you'll never reach success, but in general it's more difficult to maintain this schedule when compared to waking up early. For one, most humans don't handle night shifts well because we're programmed to sleep when it's dark and be active when there's light. Second, having to sleep during the day means missing out on many social events. Moreover, a typical employee can't afford to stay up late. They need to be at work at 9. In the long run, it's impossible to survive 8 hours of work after only a couple of hours of sleep. For this reason, working at night is most suitable to people with flexible schedules. I used to follow such a routine. I worked until 3 to 4 a.m. and woke up around 1 to 2 p.m. In the end, I switched my routine and took the opposite approach. While I was generally productive while working at night, my mental health and energy levels visibly deteriorated due to a deficiency of sunlight and a messed up circadian clock. Still, it's good to test both approaches and see which one is most suitable for you. The key is to find a period of time when you feel most productive and able to concentrate. Day 298, on the suffocating mantras. The yogic sages say that all the pain of a human life is caused by words, as is all the joy. We create words to define our experience, and those words bring attendant emotions that jerk us around like dogs on a leash. We get seduced by our own mantras: I'm a failure. I'm lonely. I'm a failure. I'm lonely, and we become monuments to them. To stop talking for a while, then, is to attempt to strip away the power of words, to stop choking ourselves with words, to liberate ourselves from our suffocating mantras. Self-talk can build you up or it can drag you down. If each day you repeat in your head the mantra that you're a failure or you're lonely, guess what you're going to get? Success and companionship. Think again. You exhibit actions congruent with your inner self-talk. If you consider yourself a failure and a lonely person, that's what you're going to get: more failure and loneliness. Be aware of the suffocating mantras in your life. Liberate yourself from suffering by refusing the negative self-talk. Each time you tell yourself something negative, seek the proof of the opposite. When you say to yourself, I'm a failure, think of one, just one, situation in which you succeeded. How can you be a failure if you experience successes? When you say, I'm weak-willed, think of one, just one, instance in which you managed to overcome a temptation. You might not have the level of self-discipline you desire, but it doesn't mean that you're automatically too weak-willed to change. Strip away the power of negative mantras by citing, in your head, the evidence against them. Repeat this evidence as a sort of a counter-mantra so that you can, instance by instance, weaken the grip of the negative mantra and eventually free yourself of it. Day 299, on generalizations. I often wonder why the whole world is so prone to generalize. Generalizations are seldom if ever true and are usually utterly inaccurate. Generalizations demonstrate lazy thinking, and lazy thinking is one trait that you most certainly don't want to have if you want to improve your self-discipline. Resist the temptation to categorize everyone and everything. Acknowledge that, besides black and white, there are all kinds of shades of gray. One of the most dangerous types of generalizations is assuming that a frequently repeated opinion is a fact. Examples include, 1. Every salesman is a liar wanting to make as much money as they can on every sale. If that's the generalization you believe, how effective will you be at selling your own services or yourself to a potential employer? 2. All men/women are horrible people. Good luck developing happy relationships with people if you categorize every member of the opposite sex as a horrible person. 3. All successful people got lucky. If that's what you believe, do you think it's possible you'll ever achieve success? 4. The only way to become properly educated is to go to college, and, what usually follows that generalization, your education ends the moment you graduate. Without lifelong learning, achieving and maintaining success will be a tricky proposition. 5. You need to be white/wake up early/start a business/be rich/live in the United States/be male/fill in the blank to become successful. Be cautious not to equate success with a single trait or habit. Warren Buffett drinks 5 cans of Coke every day. Does it mean that drinking Coke leads to success and longevity? Catch yourself whenever you proclaim generalizations that masquerade as facts. Unless you can state beyond a reasonable doubt that everything or everyone is the way you describe it, and it takes only one thing or person to prove otherwise, you're only voicing an opinion. Day 300, on walking. All truly great thoughts are conceived while walking. Walking is not only a fantastic exercise that almost everybody can perform, but also a powerful way to awaken your creativity and boost your problem-solving skills. I strongly suggest adding the habit of walking regularly, even if it's just 15 minutes, to your weekly schedule. For even better results, pick a route leading you through natural surroundings or at least away from the hustle and bustle of city living. I like to take walks with a specific intention in my mind. For example, I think of a problem I've been struggling with recently and dedicate my entire walk to brainstorming potential solutions. I sometimes listen to important podcasts when walking because I know that if it weren't for the walk, I wouldn't listen to them with as much focus as they deserve. Don't underestimate the power of this simple exercise to change your life. Walking gives you an opportunity to move your body, recharge, reflect, and potentially resolve difficult problems that you wouldn't otherwise be able to handle in your distracting, day-to-day life.